This is the first video in a series of basic how-to skills. So just some very basic DIY skills. We're going to start off with how to use a meter. Using a meter is a very basic tool. It's not scary once you know a little bit about it. But if you see this and you know nothing about it, yeah, it's a little scary. I've got a range from a couple nice flukes here. This is a very basic fluke. This is a fluke 179 I bought used on eBay. I bought this at some parts store because I couldn't find my good meters, and this has now become my handout meter. This is another style of meter. This is a rather inexpensive one here. I got off Amazon. I think it was like 40 bucks for this and a whole bunch of stuff with it. Honestly, if you're going to start out, buying something like this is really nice because having this extra little clamp is a very nice thing. If you don't have it, it's not the end of the world. All of these meters have very similar functions. So you have this V, which is voltage. You have a straight line that is actually DC. So if it's battery powered, it's going to be DC more than likely. Then you have this squiggly. That's AC. Make sure you can see that. That squiggly is AC. That straight is DC. DC is direct current. AC is alternating current. There's your amps, so that's your actual current. And then this has some resistance down here. That's the omega. That's resistance. This has less options on it, but still does everything. AC volts. There's DC volts. There's millivolts if you need something really small. Ohms, impedance, which that's a very helpful feature right there. Milliamps and amps. So the way this works, there's milliamps, there's amps. Your book will tell you how to use this. I'm just going to go through some very basic stuff. This one is an extremely basic meter. I've actually been using this one since I was about 14. You flip this on, there's volts DC and volts AC. It's a range selector. So it's showing volts squiggly, so volts AC. Volts straight line, so volts DC. And then if you want to do resistance or impedance, it's here. Again, you switch range. And like I said, every meter is different. This one looks like I left it on last time I used it, so this one's dead. Oh no, it's not. Okay, there we go. This one beeps every time. This one is the one that I said is about $40 on Amazon. It's actually quite good. It's just as good as this expensive fluke, but it was a whole lot cheaper. We are going to start with my first meter. So I guess because it's my first, it's going to be your first. So the black goes into here, the red goes into here, and these are very basic leads I have on here. You can get all kinds of different leads. So if we want to measure resistance, see this in this one, which is actually the one with the speaker on it, which you notice this also had, and this cheap one has, and this one has. Basically, if you want to test a circuit and know if you have a broken wire, if you hear a beep, you do not have a broken wire. You have a full circuit. These colors don't matter on AC. I'm going to test this. As long as I'm on these, I'm safe. These are actually here so that you don't go past and accidentally get your fingers up there. Anytime I'm on higher voltage, basically higher than a vehicle, my hands are going to be back a little bit further. So you can stick it in here. Make sure that you're on volts AC, so squiggly. And then you can stick it in here. You say I'm 123.9. Got a little trash falling down on it, but I'm 123.9 volts. I'm on volts DC. As you can see, I have a known bad battery. I know this because I've already looked at this. You see I'm 4.12 volts. You notice I'm negative. Negative means these are swapped. It does not hurt the meter at all. The old analog meters, it would. These will not. 4.12 volts. I can also know that this right wire back here is the positive and the left is the negative. I know that because if I put my positive, my red, on this one and my black, my common, on the other side, I'm negative. So not only are you able to see the voltage, but you can also see which side is positive and which is negative. I'll test it right here on this Optima as well. So I'm going to put black on red, red on black, negative 12.54. So if I put red on red, black on black, 12.54 volts. Now we're going to test the resistance. I've got a 3157 blinker bulb here. I'm going to put one lead right there, and then the other I'm going to place right there. So I've got 3 ohms. That's it. If I test this side, I've got nothing. Still making contact. I've got nothing. So 3 ohms. The way I actually test resistance is it runs a small bit of electricity through here. So if I get on this lead and I get on this lead, you'll see that this light lights up. Okay, so in an interesting turn of events, this one actually tests this but doesn't light it up. This is why I have so many meters. Because sometimes I'm struggling for something, struggling to find an answer. One will see it and another one won't. And it doesn't matter which way I have my leads. But it's showing 1.04 megohms. This clamp is to actually test current by doing that, except you can't just do that. It has to have one leg of it, not both. This actually has both, so does that. So you would have to get to where you can isolate a single wire instead of the 3 wires that are in here. So for example, in the fuse box, you can actually put this around a wire and measure it. Let's go do that. So I've got this set to 60 amps. So it does 60 or 600, but I need 60 because I'm not going to be measuring a huge one. So this one that runs right here, if we clamp over it, you can see that we're using 2 amps. That's it. Let's try another one. Next to nothing. This is actually AC and DC on this current clamp. So not only are you able to look at inside the house, you can look on the vehicle. You can throw this on one of your battery wires and see how many amps are leaving the battery or coming into the battery. You can throw this on the back of the alternator. You can see how many amps are actually going into the battery from the alternator. If you've got something that's actually draining your battery, you can throw this on one of your battery wires and see how many amps it's pulling and begin searching for that. Anyway, that's going to wrap up this video. This was a very basic intro to how to use a meter. There's a lot of things on here that we did not cover. And honestly, there's a lot of things on here that I haven't really used in my 30 years of working with a meter. A lot of my meter use, I'm either looking for voltage, like if I'm in the house and I'm using a meter, I'm going to be looking for, is this circuit energized? And if it's not, then I know I'm safe to work on it. In a vehicle, I'm either looking for the presence of voltage or I'm looking for a voltage drop, meaning I know my battery is 12.5 volts, but over here, I'm only seeing 8 volts. So where is that other voltage going? That's a topic that we can cover in more detail in a later video. But this video is just a very basic intro. If y'all would, please like, share, subscribe. If you have any questions on how to use a meter or anything that I didn't cover, or if I messed anything up, let me know.